Hello, everybody. We are Group 3. I'm Calvin.
I'm Alec.
I'm Gerardo.
I'm Andrea.
And I'm Jacob.
And we will be talking about Mars. No, not the planet Mars, but the company Mars Incorporated, who is one that you're probably already familiar with, but you didn't know it. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. So our agenda for this presentation will be me going over sustainability, events and promotions, Alec going over history and formation, Gerardo with future goals and plans, Drea with sustainability, path benefits, and Jake with the drawbacks of sustainability path. So Mars is actually a well-known company, and their products include a bunch of various things that you can see here, from M&Ms to Snickers to Starburst, and even like the dog food pedigree, and just like a bunch of other stuff, as you can see over here. But to add on to their impressive list of things that they do, they are also one of the most influential businesses to push for sustainability within our environment. They even say on their website that they invest in the long-term future of their business, their people, and the planet. Some of the things they're doing right now are like investing $1 billion over the next several years to become sustainable in a generation, working to improve the well-being for families around the world, and leveraging and sharing our research to create a better world for pets. Now, Mars has like a really insightful YouTube channel that consists of a plethora of content that revolves around different initiatives that they're doing to help the environment. And when you go to their page, give me one moment, this is the video that pops up. The world we want tomorrow starts with how we do business today. And that is such an inspirational quote that shows how much they want to make an impact saving our planet. The channel has a lot more videos with things that have to do with about helping farmers, helping pets, and even information about joining the company yourself. It's a great channel, and I would recommend you to go look through it yourself if you want to learn more about their entire operations of things that they do, just after we do our presentation. And the last thing we're going to talk about is the hashtag Pledge for Planet initiative. This campaign was made to raise environmental awareness and even got Victoria Justice to make the pledge. Freaking shout out to all the Victorious fans out there. Love that show. There was an event at New York City in Bryant Park that has art that was created by Stephen Harrigan, who's a pretty decently known artist, that made this over here into a mural. And you can see her standing in front of it as well. While there, they would tell people about how the global temperature is rising and how scientists are saying that we should not let our global temperature to be rising over 1.5 degrees Celsius. Right now, we are at 1 degree. So it's really bad, and we need to take action ASAP. The pledge consists of us saying yes to renewable energy, local produce, driving less, and just being environmentally conscious with things we do in our lives. Mars themselves are doing things like reducing chain emissions by 27% by 2025, purchasing renewable electricity to cover more than 50% of their energy footprint, and a full chain goal of reaching a net zero emissions by 2040. Hopefully, all of you guys can take the pledge yourself because I am, and I want to continue to help our planet just like Mars is. Now I'm going to pass it on to Alec, who will be talking about the history.
Thanks, Calvin. So the history of the Mars company starts with their chocolate bars, but Mars also has many other brands and business sectors that they operate in. This includes their mass variety of chocolates, along with beverages, pet care, food, Wrigley gum, and Symbioscience. They have 29 chocolate brands that you would probably recognize that include Snickers, Twix, M&Ms, to name a few. Some of their other brands include Pedigree dog food, Five Gum, Skittles, Mars bars, Combos, Uncle Ben's rice, Dolbio, Orbit gum, and not to mention that the company employs over 72,000 individuals in over 70 countries worldwide. Mars Incorporated was founded in 1911 by a man named Franklin Clarence Mars, who was born in 1883 in Hancock, Minnesota, where he learned how to hand dip chocolate from his mother Alva and started selling molasses chips at the age of 19. He married his second wife named Ethel V. Mars, who would start the factory together in Tacoma, Washington, where they sold fresh candy at wholesale prices. But the factory shortly failed because of competition from a better ran company in the same city named Brown and Haley that was producing the candy Almond Roca. This would ultimately force them to return to Minnesota in 1920, where Morrow Bar Company was founded and would eventually become Mars Incorporated as it is today. Next slide, please. So Frank had a son named Forrest Mars in his first marriage to a woman also named Ethel, who wanted to create a candy bar that had chocolate malted milk, which would be named the Milky Way and become the best-selling candy bar. Frank later moved Mars in 1929 to Chicago, Illinois, where he would start a full production plant that is still standing today. His son Forrest would venture outward to the United Kingdom, where he started Mars Limited and unveiled the Mars bar. The Snickers bar would follow shortly in 1930, and candy like M&Ms would come straight from his son Forrest. Before World War II, M&Ms would be filled with Hershey's chocolate due to rationing and would become one of Mars Incorporated's primary competitors. He would be the man to build Mars into the company that it is today, with new ideas and business segments to enter. During World War II, Orbit gum would be the most popular brand, but would be left behind after the war only to resurface 60 years later. Frank would die shortly after due to heart problems in 1934, leaving the company to Forrest. The Mars Company would also dabble in horse racing as they owned the Milky Way farm and even had a horse win the Kentucky Derby in 1940. Forrest, who would run the company until his death in 1999, leaves the Mars Incorporated company to his children. Mars Inc. is a family-owned business to this day and has remained a mysterious and secret one until their principles and action communication in 2011. This would detail the history of Mars as well as its legacy and its commitment to the 5 principles. This would describe their business strategy, including goals and their subsidiaries. Mars has gained a high reputation for developing great managers who would go on to become CEOs of other major companies. Mars would also enter the science and technology sector, established in 2005 to develop new cocoa called CocoVia, which helps support healthy living. The current global CEO of Mars Incorporated is Paul Michaels, who is not of the family of Mars, but the company still strives to have over 30 manufacturing facilities in the US. In 2007, Mars entered the dry pet food industry as well as owning fine chocolate shops across the US. In 2008, Mars would go on to buy out Wrigley with the help of Berkshire Hathaway in a $23 billion cash deal formation and sales in excess of $27 billion. The early 2000s is when Mars would enter into the health and lifestyle sector with brands like Kind Bars, Goodness Knows, as well as opening new wind farms in 2014. This Texas farm would power operations for all Mars US sites, also building a water processing plant in the Netherlands, which filters up to 99% pure. Mars would really open new doors and enter markets that I'm sure Frank Mars could have never seen coming from a chocolate factory. They would also focus on sustainability in ways that they could achieve their new goals and aspirations. And this is where I will hand it over to Gerardo.
Thank you, Alec. Now we'll be talking about future plans and goals for Mars. Mars, owners of some of the world's most famous chocolate brands, such as M&M's and Skittles, have outlined their intention and goals to reduce their carbon footprint. They have named it the Sustainable in a Generation Plan, which focuses on 3 critical areas. In a statement by Grant F. Reed, the CEO and president of Mars, states that we will reduce our environmental impact in line with what science says is necessary to keep the planet healthy. Already, Mars has been attempting to reduce their carbon footprint and has reportedly seen their footprint decrease by a quarter since 2016. Their aim is to eliminate their greenhouse gas emission by 2040. The Sustainable in a Generation Plan focuses on working on 3 key areas: healthy planet, thriving people, and nourishing well-being. The first being the healthy planet, which Mars plans to reduce greenhouse gas emissions with an overall goal to reduce total greenhouse gas emissions across the value chain by 27% by 2025 and by 67% by 2050. In addition to having a healthy planet, Mars plans to eliminate unsustainable water use in our value chain, starting with a 50% reduction by 2025. Mars also is working on land management to help the planet by holding flat the total land area associated with the overall value chain. Lastly, Mars is planning on developing eco-friendly packaging that is reusable and recyclable while decreasing plastic use by 25% by 2025 in order to help the overall environment. Another goal that Mars has in the Sustainable in a Generation Plan is to work on thriving people. Mars business will thrive for generations to come only if the millions of people who contribute to the success thrive too. Mars is very committed to meaningful improvement the lives of 1 million people in our value chain by providing opportunities to enhance their livelihoods and by respecting their human rights. The first step on the plan is Thrive individuals is to be on the path to meaningful improvement by having farmers, workers, women, children covered by programs designed to improve human rights and incomes. There are a total of 169,000 people covered by the program so far and intend to make it 20,000 by 2022. From 169,000 people from the ongoing plan to help people thrive, there are 108,000 farmers so far that are covered by this program. The last step in Mars plans to support communities and the environment is nourishing well-being. They will use their global reach to supply healthy meals, support the well-being of associates, improve products, nutritional value, advance food safety science, and ensure that transparency and responsibility of marketing and consumer can inform choices. They plan to do this by first supplying healthy meals. They have so far exceeded their ambition to deliver 1 billion more healthy meals on dinner tables around the world by 2021 and plan to keep on exceeding this goal until the end of 2021. Next slide, please. Another big plan that Mars has is respecting human rights in the cocoa supply chain. Mars CEO announced the publication of the first ever cocoa human rights report respecting human rights in the cocoa supply chain, outlining the work to advance respect for human rights through the responsible cocoa pillar, the programs that has been made, what has been learned, and where more effort and collaboration is needed to order to achieve Mars 2025 human rights goals of creating a safer working environment for all workers and helping vulnerable workers such as children get the rights they deserve. The significant expansion of child labor monitoring and remediation system across the cocoa supply chain in West Africa was nearly 70% by the end of 2020, from 51% in 2019. A total volumes of cocoa sourced in Ghana coming from farmer groups that have the CLMRS in place. Mars CEO says that they are working effortlessly to be able to accomplish 100% by coming by the coming years in order to eliminate child labor in the cocoa fields. Now we'll be passing it to Drea with sustainability path benefits.
Thank you for that. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the 5 principles that are at the center of every decision that Mars makes, and thus surrounds their sustainability efforts. Their business is people and planet, like Gerardo spoke about, and I'll just dive a little bit more into what these 5 principles are and how they correlate with healthy planet, thriving people, and nourishing well-being, as well as finish it off with a small video. So the 5 principles from the foundation of how Mars does business are here on this slide. Working in over 80 countries, they have clear direction and moral compass as essential features for the way that they do their business. They think of sustainability as a systems thinking, meaning that every part of their business is related to another, and thus they need to work to not only make a better planet, but create better people and better opportunities along with the sustainability for them. Now they're focused on the long-term future of business, and they know that the planet depends on corporations like them to take bold action. So they start with all these efforts in hopes to bring other companies accountable for what they do and to follow their steps. Now, the 5 principles that are at the center of every decision that Mars makes are committed to quality of work and contribution to society. They embrace responsibility as individuals and a company to act now, meaning they're always trying to come up with different solutions to be more sustainable, to serve better to their communities and to the people around them. Also, they base all their decisions on mutuality, which means that they see benefit to their stakeholders. Now, in a systems thinking, their stakeholders are not only the people that receive the money, but the people that are part of their business, the communities in which they are built, and everybody else that is affected by anything that the company does. Now, also having the financial freedom to make their own decisions unrestricted by the motivations of others. This means that they're not only driven by what's going to bring them the best profits, but what they're going to be able to put out there for the community and for the world and future generations. So this work, like Gerardo covered, is focused in 3 key areas, which are healthy planet. That's a data-driven approach to drastically shrink the environmental footprint and fight climate change. So that covers water stress, deforestation, unsustainable use of packaging, and things like that. Also, thriving people. So with thriving people, they're on the path to meaningful improvement, which is their goal is to work with farmers, workers, women, and children, and covered by programs designed to improve human rights and income. They want to make sure that they improve all of these farmers' income, and they have farmer covered programs that combine agricultural practices, access to inputs, and the latest plant science that they provide to the people who feed into their business. Also, go here. Another thing that they cover is the nourishing well-being. And that's really just being transparent with their information. They want to achieve a lot of media placement, compliance, and social media, make sure that they reach out to everybody and that they're very transparent in the type of the work they're doing, and they continue to nourish the well-being of the people that they serve. So this means good nutrition, health, wellness, all of those things are essential for them, and they use global research to supply these healthy meals and support the well-being of their associates, improve the products, and just pretty much hold everybody in the ecosystem that they function responsible. Now I am going to leave you guys off with a little slide like Calvin spoke about. They have an amazing YouTube page that has tons of information. So the next slide is going to be a video to just give you guys a little bit about how they use all these things together.
This is a critical moment. Never before has the responsibility been greater for business to step up and help sustain a healthy planet and a healthy society. That's why we're introducing our new Sustainable in a Generation plan, which has 3 interconnected ambitions. One of those goals is to reduce our environmental impacts in line with what science says is necessary to keep the planet healthy. This goes well beyond our own operations, extending targets to reflect the impact we have on greenhouse gas emissions, water, and land through our entire value chain. Because this is bigger than us, and we must all play our part in building a better future and a healthy planet. Now is the time for us to be bold, to transform how we do business, and to help make the world sustainable in a generation.
And now, after that video, I'm going to go ahead and pass you on to Jake, who will talk about the drawbacks of sustainability.
This is a critical.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jake. I'll be talking about drawbacks of sustainability path regarding Mars Incorporated. So now, despite everything you may have heard, it's all wonderful news. Yes, they're pledging to eliminate greenhouse gases and whatnot, and pledge to be a little bit more conscientious. The CEO and the president of Mars Incorporated, Grant Reed, he actually addressed sustainability as a critical moment. Never before has the responsibility been greater for businesses to step up and help create a healthy planet and a healthy society. Now, he says this, however, despite taking numerous steps to address the issues surrounding sustainability of Mars and pledging to eliminate all of the greenhouse gases emissions by 2040, Mars is actually failing to acknowledge the ways in which their products and practices will continue to impact the environment. And now, I'm not saying that it's necessarily a bad thing that they're pledging, it's just until we see some action, it's going to be a little rough of a road. Now, Mars is the owner of both Whisca and Pedigree, pet food. Pedigree, all the pet food goes to both dogs and cats. It's pretty much candy as well. It relies heavily on animal agriculture, and many of Mars products contain palm oil. And I'll talk about that more in the next slide, please. So animal agriculture and palm oil, both of these are actually having a devastating effect on the environment. Animal agriculture, one of the leading causes of greenhouse gas emissions. It also is using the land and water in order to produce animal products, which is pretty much unsustainable. It accounts for 18% of the globe's greenhouse gas emissions every year. And it's just animal agriculture alone, 18%. Now, regarding palm oil, it causes destruction of rainforests in order to get the palm oil, and this contributes to global warming as well. This destruction reduces the Earth's ability to utilize the carbon emissions, something it was naturally able to do for years beforehand. And now, if this continues, the Earth won't be capable of reducing those emissions anymore. Now, according to the World Health Organization, WHO, the consumption of palm oil actually is linked to increased ischemic heart disease. Also, it raises low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, and it also increases the risk of cardiovascular disease and other adverse effects. Another thing Mars is actually a problem for, accounted for, the animal agriculture and palm oil specifically, they have underpaid workers working in the tropical countries, as well as many different welfare problems. These people are underpaid, they're unhappy, and the living conditions aren't very good. Next slide, please. And the last I'll be talking about is the deforestation that occurs due to everything that Mars is about. In 2009, Mars actually vowed to switch entirely to sustainable cocoa to combat deforestation, which is a major contributor to climate change. However, Mars is actually far from meeting that ambitious goal. Over the past decade, deforestation has accelerated in West Africa, the source of 2/3 of the world's cocoa. The loss of tropical rainforests last year sped up more Ivory Coast and Ghana than any other country in the world. So those two countries were affected dramatically. And worldwide, deforestation is actually very huge. According to the Global Forest Watch, which is a nonprofit organization with online tools and data to monitor forests and within the world, in 2017, 40 football fields of tropical forests were actually lost pretty much every minute, spurred by the growing demand for cocoa, palm oil, soybeans, timber, beef, and rubber. And now if this continues, the world won't be able to be sustainable. Mars pledges something, and if they can't fulfill the promise, then everything was pretty much for nothing. The pledges itself are actually very good and very useful, but until we see action, people are actually going to be very unhappy. A lot of global activists are pretty adamant about Mars trying to make better. It took 5 years for them to kind of even get on the right path. And until we start seeing some results, people are going to be unhappy. Next slide, please. And now we have our Works Cited page. And with that, we would like to thank everyone for listening to our project. It is the last of the semester. Hope everyone has a great year. Thank you.